Hello, I'd like to start showing you how to replace the inner power to our Triaxe Sport and Triaxe Tour mobility scooters. Well, comes a time where you would require to replace the batteries, and you remove the Velcro, and I'm sure by now everybody is used to removing their battery from their unit. Then you take the battery box, you place it in a convenient location where you could set yourself up and unscrew, which you would require a Phillips screwdriver that you would go in and start removing the screws, and those screws will come apart, and look what you see inside. You get yourself the original battery pack that all you do is remove the clip, take out the old battery pack, and now you're going to proceed to purchase 12 volt, 12 amp hour batteries. They're lithium. You could use lead acid if you like. It doesn't really matter except for the weight and the frequencies of charging. So getting right to it, you just place your batteries in these convenient location on the tray. I kind of use one of the Allen keys. This is where you got to remove the clip. What I'm going to show you is you just compress it. These clips over here have a little locking restraint. So when it goes in, it clicks in and it locks into place. What we want to do is we got to get rid of this clip because we don't need this clip anymore. And it's as easy as that. Now, all the other wires are attached on your normal battery box. So you could take a wire, and the wire, you could buy your wires basically in any hardware store or any convenience convenient location online, and you could buy your clips in a package like that. All you need is just a regular linesman stripper with the crimper. We have industrial clips, so that's why excuse me, that's how we just go, and we take a wire like this, you strip it, you put it down into the area like so, and then you just crimp it into place. Make sure it's nice and tight so it's not going to come out at you. And again, if you really want to see every little moment, pull it apart like that. Give yourself just a little bit. You don't need much, because on the clips that we use, it goes right underneath the contact. And then crimp it down basically just to hold the insulation of the wire in place. So, getting back to our batteries. For convenience, you could use a red wire for the red contact. Because these are 12 volt batteries, and this is a 24 volt pack, you got to put two 12 volts, and we put it into series. So the amperage stays the same in series, but when you add the two together, you will add the voltage from 12 and 12 is 24, so you're matching the voltage. You place these two end units on the terminals itself. You take the red terminal here and you just slide it into the connector. You got to be a little careful to keep the wires away from each other because some of them don't like to be touched together. The black one which is your negative. Here is your black wire, which is your negative. You do the same. Just like so. This is basically your main connection to connect your 24 volts of power onto your unit. Now, what I would suggest is, I'm not going to promote Gorilla Tape, but I do like Gorilla Tape. And I just take small strips, just so I place it across the contact, so you don't want to have heat or any kind of elements that might seep in. And again, you go this way because that's a perfect length that we found. And because it's such a strong tape, you only need really one. Because there's not going to be any jostling going on inside the box, because these batteries that we're using seem to be doing the trick really well. So here, all your terminals on the battery are nicely taped down. And then you got these two open terminals. Can't forget about them. You could use electrical tape if you like, or again, I love this Gorilla Tape. And this connector should never have an issue. And for the critics out there, you could see you don't want any metal showing, because that's live. So you just want to keep this as tight as possible. And let's do it on the negative side. I like to do it like on an angle, so this way I economize on the tape. Now, you see everything the way it is. If you're skeptical and you figure, oh, you know what, I'll throw another piece of tape just to hold these down, because you do have some clearance, not much, on the top from when you put the lid back in there. So, because it is a pain in the butt if any of these wires come out while you're riding. Now, the only real connector that's left that has some sort of thickness to it is the unit over here that goes right into your charge ports. I'll show you that in a moment. These blue wires, by the way, this is your switch. This is your on-off switch. So these wires, I got to tell you, we've sold thousands of these units over time, and the odd time these come apart. So you just make sure that it's not like loose at all and she's solid, and you'll be fine. Then when you're going to go and figure out, you're trying to get this connector down into this well, because there's a little bit of a space over there. You do not want to have this connector on top of the cell, because the lid will not sit snugly together. So this could be a little challenging for people who have challenges of putting lids on. But this is it. She's all together. Now, before you do anything beyond that, what you want to do, and I'm so sorry I got to walk away because I forgot to bring my meter. And the meter on your general meters, because it's 24 volts and it's more than the 20 volt, you got to set your meter to the 200 volt. because this way you'll be able to get an accurate reading of the battery. If you go to 20, it's going to show error read on here. So 24 DC, so it's direct current, that's battery. You take these, and this is very important, where you keep, when you want to test to make sure that there's power, you keep that one to the furthest left and put this one to the furthest right, and from there you're going to be able to see if there's actually power going to there. Now, as you could see, this switch seems to have a mind of its own today. This is really interesting. So I guess this battery must have fallen at one point, and the actual switch is definitely an issue. So when you get to that, I'm glad that we're going through this in a way. I could show you now how to change a switch, where you would have to call us for the actual part. So here, those two wires, you pull them off. That will give you your access to the actual switch. Then you could use the same. I want to use the same one. I'm sorry, guys and girls, but there's a little compression, but you got to squeeze down below, and I would prefer to use the flathead. I'm still with you, but we're human after all, and things could happen for the unforeseen. So I have one advantage over everybody, is that I'm doing this from our shop. So lo and behold, I actually have a replacement switch. So these are little fittings on the side that you just got to compress, and you remove the old switch. Then you take the new switch, and you just kind of wiggle it until you figure out the spot that it will fit. There we go. See this little line? That goes right into this keyway, they call it. So there. And then all I do is press it down. Then you got your switch. And then you get your jewelry caught into it. And again, it doesn't matter what side you put this on, because how a switch operates, it just breaks, it just connects where these two should be together. And the switch is the one that goes in between. And for anybody who's getting bored right now listening to me, too bad. The ones that want to hear everything and not deal with situations, there you go. So now we're going to try this again. O, by the way, means off, not on. And the line is an international status point to show that the power is on. You take your black, which is your negative lead, and it goes to this side. So you just touch it, and you keep it away this way, and then you have the positive resting on that side, and there's your voltage. Now, if you'd be so kind to take your left hand and hit the switch while you're showing. There you go. So now you know the switch works. You got the power working. And if you just don't want to have Murphy kick its ugly head, we have one more port that you just take the same idea. You carefully put this like that because it's not screwed down yet. And you'll test. There you go. So if you see a negative or a positive in front of your voltage, it doesn't really matter at this point because there it shows 26.8 volts over there, and that's that. Now, let's get back to the mechanics of it all. How are we going to get this box closed? Because every time we want to go ahead and remove screws, it's always easy. But going through thousands of these boxes, I had to figure out these are the actual screws and nuts that are securing the actual box together. So you got 8 in total. These 2 holes you don't use. These holes are irrelevant. They're just flow-through holes for locking mechanisms for other units that we build, and we use that for those purposes. So here's a trick that I kind of came across, thank goodness, is I take a nut and I take a bolt and I just do enough so it bites it. So it's not going anywhere and it bites it. Why do I do that? Is because you'll take a look over here. I'm just going to drop this right in the slot. Now, the slots that have your hexagon outlines are the ones where the actual nut goes down. The bolt or the screw gets screwed in from underneath. So I will show you that by doing this, this enables me to take my Phillips, and these are stainless screws, so it's a pain in the butt with regards to it doesn't hold with any kind of magnetic tools. So, but it's well used for what we need it for, so it doesn't rust out. So here you go. You put this on the underside hole that will line right up to that screw, well, to the bolt, and then when you start turning this, it starts to bite on the top, where you could afterwards just remove the screw that's in the way, and that's it. So that's your trick. So again, instead of just trying to take the nut and just drop it in place, it's going to come on the side, it's going to go here. So this is a very good tip. You could take it from me because I've done a lot of this. Again, this is important because you'll get frustrated. I know you only have one to do, but believe me, it's taken as long as an hour to get these little nuts attached to there. So you just turn it enough so it holds the nut in place, and I'll show it to you even on this one right here. So you can get a close-up where you take that, drop it in, and you can see the head is definitely centered. It's naturally centered. And then you just go and take your screwdriver, and it's a Phillips, and you just bring that right up. And then as I'm going to be screwing it, it's going to start to move around inside there. And I take this long one just in case if it needs a little persuasion to put it on the top part of the head of the, and then once it's all screwed down, you'll be able to remove the screw just by turning it upside down, and the unit, the actual screw will come out. Of course, camera wise, I've just got to really seat it down, and that's it. And then basically from this point, your battery will be good for another 2-3 years, depending on the batteries you purchase. Any questions? Contact us at Electrowheels. My name is Jeff Brown, and actually my partner in all this crime is Janet, who's holding the camera and all that stuff, and she will be the one who will field your calls. And Yes. That's right. And if you have any questions at all, any concerns, if you want to know what kind of battery that you want to purchase, we sourced out a few batteries that seem to be fine. I mean, these are ours. This is what we produce. But because of the extreme costs of bringing in batteries from overseas at the moment and everything else, we felt that our riders are going to still need to ride and make sure that they're going to have proper units. So we've tried the 8 amp hour 12 volts. Those are great because those are for travel, because these are airline approved and they have to be below a certain wattage. So ours pass FAA, but in order to do that, it cannot go above 10 amps, because 10 amps, which is your amperage, your voltage is 24. So 10 by 24 is 240, which is equal your wattage. And some airlines, the maximum wattage is 240 watts. Some allow 300. You'd have to check with your airline before you go in there. We do have cases. We could create travel batteries for you in-house, so you could have a secondary battery when you do travel. Or if you want the longest autonomy, basically, we found 12 volt, 15 amp batteries. They seem to be fine, but again, I cannot validate any other batteries except for ours. But I can say that so far, for the money, these batteries here should not cost you more than $200 for the pair of batteries. So that's not from us. That would be from elsewhere, wherever you find it. But please, this is very important. When you go on the online companies that are selling batteries, please look at their spec sheet. And most of these batteries are for one purpose only. It's usually a single cell that's for a battery backup. They call it UPS, uninterrupted power, where for alarm systems and small voltages or current that needs to keep things going. Those will not work efficiently in a scooter that is carrying 300 pounds through different kinds of terrain. So what we would suggest is look at the specs where they will say that they could put up to 4 batteries in series, and that is what you want to be able to use. And that's all.